Have you ever wanted to feel head-crushing bass while wearing an open-back headset? No? Well, honestly, I don't know who asked for this either, but Skullcandy has packed their signature Crusher drivers into an open-back design to give us, drumroll please, the Crusher PLYR 720, a gaming headset the company claims delivers a multi-sensory experience that isn't just immersive, it's 4D gaming. Did the mad scientists over at Skullcandy cook? Or were they too preoccupied with whether or not they could that they didn't stop to think if they should? Before we dive into this review, I want to give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, Bestier. If you're a PC gamer like me, you know that besides a good gaming headset, you also need a solid gaming desk. And that's where the Bestier gaming desk could be the right fit for you. Everything arrives perfectly protected with that clean Bestier branding. Setup is a breeze because every single component is numbered and labeled, plus all the installation tools are included, no hunting around for screws or wondering what goes where. But here's where things get fun. The upgraded Music Sync LED system doesn't just look cool, it actually syncs with your game audio and music. So picture this, you're racing through a tight corner in Forza, and the LED lights pulse red as you hit the rev limiter, and then shift back to blue as you nail that perfect drift. You get 6 different colors and 7 dynamic lighting modes, including flash, fade, pulse, chase, flow, each one engineered for racing games and immersive gaming. The lights literally respond to engine revs, collisions, and even tire screeches. It's kind of like having your own personal pit crew lighting up your rig. And it's not all looks, you've also got 3 AC outlets, USB-A and USB-C charging ports built right into the desk. That's 1500 watts of power for all your gaming gear. Plus, the steel frame construction means it's built to last through those tough, intense gaming sessions. If you order through our link in the description, you also get an exclusive free blind box gift, such as a Music Sync RGB light bar or an RGB headphone stand for additional flair. Hit the link down below if you want a desk to upgrade your gaming setup. So the Crusher PLYR 720 is actually surprisingly comfortable for something that's designed to literally vibrate your skull. It's got memory foam ear cushions that are actually removable, which is a nice touch because that makes them easier to clean and replace down the line after extended use. The ear cups can rotate to lay flat, and the open back design also helps to make things more breathable, meaning your ears won't get all sweaty. My only concern with the build quality is the silicone suspension band up top. It feels good now and distributes weight well, but honestly, this gummy material just doesn't really inspire confidence, especially where it connects to the edges here. It looks like something that is going to tear or degrade over time, especially if you're constantly stretching it to fit your head. At 260 bucks, I don't know, I'd like to see something a little bit more robust here, maybe something like fabric, but we'll see. Maybe Skullcandy will come out with some interchangeable suspension straps that you can swap in later. I don't know why I can't get that. Suspension straps. But of course, the elephant in the room when it comes to the experience of using this headset is the Crusher bass drivers. This is what makes these headsets special, and boy is it an experience. It's hard to communicate the experience of what it's like through words alone, as it's really something I think you have to wear and experience for yourself to really get it. But if I had to describe it, it's kind of like having a massage gun positioned around your ears that's constantly pulsating with tactile feedback. It's basically like strapping a subwoofer to your head. I had my coworkers try these on with Crusher mode at full blast, and watching their facial reactions was really quite hilarious.
Oh, that was a mistake.
It's quite a shock.
Oh my god.
Oh, I don't like that at all.
It's intense. For gaming, especially FPS shooters like Call of Duty, I think it really does add to the immersive experience. In the same way that your controller will, rumble and vibrate with in-game sound effects, these headphones will also rumble your skull with every grenade explosion and burst firing of a gun. It's kind of like having the haptic feedback from the controller, but in your headphones. Some people will find this fun, but for me, it did get fatiguing after a while. Honestly, I could only handle about an hour before my cheekbones needed a break from the constant vibrations, and I even felt some phantom sensations afterwards. For music listening, I would say the novelty wears off much more quickly, especially for bass-heavy tracks. Now the controls are a little bit of a mixed bag here. On the left ear cup, you've got this little joystick that does, well, everything, and honestly probably a bit too much. You can push it up and down to adjust volume, push it left to right to adjust side tone, and you can press it in, click it to cycle through the EQ presets. Frankly, it's too many functions for a single control, as it's very easy to activate the wrong thing by pushing it in the wrong direction. The right ear cup here has the star of the show, as you can see. It's got this big rubbery wheel that is solely dedicated to controlling the Crusher mode intensity. I mean, really, look at that. You know the bass is serious when. Above the bass wheel sits a button labeled Custom that by default toggles between THX spatial audio and head tracking modes. Despite it being labeled Custom, though, you can't actually remap any of the functions within the app, which is very strange, and I feel like that's got to be something that's coming with a future firmware update. Otherwise, it just doesn't make any sense for it to be labeled Custom. Connection-wise, these are pretty solid. You get Bluetooth 5.3 with support for LE audio, plus a USB-A low latency transmitter. Now that USB dongle has a low latency rate that Skullcandy claims to be between 40 to 55 milliseconds. That's pretty snappy, but it's not the fastest that I've seen in gaming headsets, some of which can get to around 25 to even 15 milliseconds. Plus, you can actually use both of these simultaneously, so you can have game audio coming through the 2.4 gigahertz connection while keeping Bluetooth open for, say, listening to a podcast in the background. You also get two wired options with a 3.5 millimeter cable and a USB-C to A for direct digital connection. Basically, the headset will connect to whatever you need it to, whether it be PlayStation, Xbox, PC, Switch 2, heck, even your mobile phone. I would say the Skullcandy Headquarters app is worth using. It offers gaming-specific EQ presets that are built right into the headset, such as FPS and RPG modes, plus you get a custom 5-band equalizer, which again you can save directly to the headset itself, which is nice because that means you can bring your custom EQ over to PlayStation and Xbox. One feature I would recommend taking also is the enhanced sound perception test, as it analyzes your hearing and tunes the headset for you accordingly. I did find the desktop app for PC less buggy than the mobile app too. I wasn't able to download any firmware updates through the mobile app, and I sometimes had issues with pairing, but the desktop app never gave me any problems, and it has all the same controls. It also looks a lot cooler, like very vaporwave, kind of like the random graphics you would see in a computer hacker screen from an 80s movie. I mean, come on, and look at the effect of the face screaming with light beaming out of its eyes as you increase Crusher mode. That's just a fun touch. So battery life is pretty good. In our testing, we got about 50 hours with Crusher mode turned off and only using Bluetooth. Now that's pretty average for a gaming headset. It's not amongst the longest we've seen, and your real-world usage will vary as those Crusher drivers are pretty power hungry. Cranking up the bass will drain it faster, and using dual wireless mode or together with Bluetooth, it will reduce the runtime. But for most people, you're looking at between days or weeks before needing to recharge. Now the microphone here actually is really good. You can see it is a removable boom mic, which is nice if you want a more subtle look. The microphone captures voices clearly and is actually very effective at rejecting background noise. You can check out our audio samples in the written review on SoundGuys.com to listen for yourself, but things like keyboard clatters and phone ringing, they all get filtered out very nicely. The only downside is that this bendable rubber material, it just sticks out kind of straight and stays pretty firmly in place. No matter how you position it, like, it doesn't stay where you want it. Now the mic is sensitive enough to pick up your voice as is, but I wish they'd used a stronger wire here to keep it bent, to have it point towards your mouth better, and and actually stay where you want it to. So when it comes to sound quality, let's just get the Crusher stuff out of the way first. I mean, obviously for bass heads or people that really want to feel that sub-bass rumble, like, these are the headphones for you. No questions asked, go get them, you'll be happy. But for the sake of your ears, I wouldn't recommend maxing out Crusher mode all the time, as it is quite intense. But hey, I'm not going to tell you what to do, go do what you want. Just be warned. Looking at the frequency response, you might be surprised by that sub-bass roll-off, but that actually is normal for open-back headsets. Because it is extremely hard for the drivers to reproduce a high level all the way down, they normally don't have the same sub-bass extension that you would see from closed-backs. But don't worry, the bass is there, believe me. I mean, that's what the Crusher drivers are for. We just couldn't measure the headphones with them activated since, they would literally shake and fall off of our testing head. Now the thing about the bass here is that it's not coming through the speakers of the headset, right? The bass effect is being produced through those haptic motors that are shaking the headset. So it's more like an artificial bass effect than something that's being produced by actual sound waves. The results are that while you do get a lot of bass, it is very one-dimensional and less detailed. It can be fun and immersive for things like explosions or feeling the rumble of a car engine in a racing game, but for music, it's less detailed and it's harder to really hear the difference between things like, say, a bass guitar or a kick drum. But thankfully, this headset isn't just a one-trick pony with an absurd amount of bass, because even turning Crusher mode off, this headset actually sounds pretty good. As you can see, the rest of the frequency range follows our house curve pretty closely. The mid-range is quite good. The most significant deviation is really only that overemphasis around 9 kHz, which is intended to add more presence to in-game sound effects, things like footsteps and gunshots, but it does mean that S sounds, cymbals, and so on can sound a bit shrill for music. Now you can dial that down using the custom EQ, but if you do so, I did find the headset to have a bit too weak of a treble, and it starts to sound a bit dark. Mainly because that dip that you can see in the upper mid-range right before that, the EQ just can't really work to bring that up, so there's a bit of a trade-off there. The open back design also helps to create a very wide soundstage, and that's really great for positional audio. So in FPS shooters, localizability was really good. I felt I was able to pinpoint enemy locations very accurately, and if you add on the THX spatial audio, it just makes things all the more immersive. The head tracking in particular, I want to point out, is very accurate. Sounds really adapt in real time to how I move my head in relation to the TV or monitor. Sometimes though, I did find if I jerked my head a little too fast, the sound would kind of stick to one side and take a little bit of a second delay to get back to center, but it's just very accurate. And you can actually adjust the head tracking sensitivity within the app as well, so that can help to fix some of those issues. So, should you buy the Crusher PLYR 720? I know it looks like PLYR, right? There's no A, but it's got to be PLYR. It's a gaming headset.
They need to buy a vowel.
Yeah. But really, should you buy the Crusher PLYR 720? I think it comes down to really one simple question, and that's whether or not having haptic feedback in your headset sounds fun to you. If you game in quiet environments, and the idea of feeling explosions or revving an engine rumble through your skull sounds appealing, this delivers an experience that you simply won't find anywhere else. The head tracking and spatial audio are excellent, and you can dial down the Crusher effect for when it gets fatiguing, and the sound quality is quite good without it. So I have an analogy that I think might help illustrate whether or not you might enjoy these headphones. When you go to the movie theater, are you someone that likes to get those chairs that rumble and shake around watching the movie, D-Box or 4DX or whatever it might be called in your region? Or are you someone that just likes to lay back and watch the movie as is? This is essentially D-Box for audio. But if you just want to sit back and listen to your music or your game audio without any kind of tactile, haptic stuff layered over top of that, it might be just too intense and gimmicky for you. But for $260, it's a lot for what's essentially a novelty feature, and I think many people will find too intense for extended use. If having haptic bass doesn't excite you, there are more traditional options that might serve you better and save you some money, and you can click right here to check those out.